Oftentimes I think that obedience carries a really negative connotation. Like when you hear the word obedience, things that come to mind are relenting, losing control, you don't have control over your circumstances, over what's going to happen. Submission comes to mind, even just not getting our way. And sometimes when you think about that long enough, you think, well, I don't want to lose control over my circumstances. I need to control kind of what's happening and what's going on. So when you start to think about it long enough, it can start to sound kind of scary when you think about obedience. But Scripture paints a whole different picture of obedience. It's one of love and a life of light burdens. You see, as followers of Christ, we obey out of our love for Jesus. Listen to what Jesus said about obedience in John 14:15. If you love me, you will obey what I command. And then again in 1 John 5:3, the author echoes the same sentiment. This is love for God, to obey his commands, and his commands are not burdensome. His commands are not burdensome. Jesus told us this when he said, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon me and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in spirit, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I wanted to give you some specific examples of some of God's commands so you could kind of discern and decide how burdensome they seem. So listen to some of these commands. Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, about your body, what you will wear. Love each other as I have loved you. Do not be anxious about anything. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Remain in me. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Do you know what makes these commands difficult? Us. You and me. You see, because when our sinful nature takes hold and then we start to fight Christ on these things, bitterness, anger, resentment, fear, those things start to take over, and that's what makes obedience difficult. That's what can kind of make it difficult for us, because our sinful nature takes over. But think about how freeing it is to know that you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. I know that seems kind of like it goes against every grain in our body, right? Because we think, well, if I'm not going to worry about things, then who's going to do it for me, right? You kind of feel that way, like I have to worry. But you don't. You also don't have to carry around fear, anxiety, resentment, or anger, because God has commanded us to cast all our cares and anxiety upon him so that we are free. We are free to love, we are free to forgive, and we are free to demonstrate his love to others. His burden is light. His commands are not